Hello, this is James from Primafiche, and as you know, I am a Clio customer and have been since 2009. So one thing that I recently learned is how to connect my Clio account to Trello. Now, Trello is a very useful Kanban app. A Kanban board is something that looks like this, right? You can have a number of lists, and so typically you would say, like if it's a simple to-do list, it would look like this. You have to-do, you would have pending items, and items that are done. Okay, this is just a very oversimplified sample of what it can be, but it's very useful. And then you would add what they call cards to each item. So to-do, take out trash, buy groceries, and go swimming. Okay, and what you can do is you just click and drag and drop. So as you're going through your day, you can see the progress that you're making. Others who are subscribed to your team or on your list here can see it as well. And you can move them from one column to the other to see when they're done, right? Now, so this would be just some simple daily activities. But you can actually use this for your law practice as well. So for example, in our firm, what we've just done is we created a Kanban board like this, and we say, we're immigration attorneys, so we do, let's see, a citizenship application, and we might have a client, Susan Rosas, and put some other information in there about her case, right? And we would see that, that she is a client who has a case that's a citizenship case. And of course, there's other cases, right? Like an I-130 family petition. And we also have things like immigration court, right? So obviously these would be people's names here. But you get the idea is that at a glance you can see who all, or how many cases, and what cases are they. So this wouldn't be, you wouldn't anticipate moving from one category to the other, but it would be a good visual overview. So I'm going to walk you through a very simple tutorial on how to create this from data that you already have in Clio. Okay, so you're not going to have to manually import everything, but there is some formatting you're going to want to do. So let's get started. First thing you need is a Trello account, so go ahead and create one. They are free. I think you can get like advanced features if you do a paid version, but the free version will suffice for what we're doing here. Also important to know that going through this walkthrough will teach you what you need to do. So if you wanted to keep a list of tasks, right, for each staff member at your firm, you would be able to. So thank goodness Clio has an open API, right? And with that open API, you can connect to Zapier. It is pronounced Zapier. Zapier makes you happier. Okay, so you'll need a Zapier account. There's a free version, so once you log into Zapier, you'll be able to go in here and create what are called zaps. You can even organize them by different folders. Of course, you got to have your Clio account, and you'll need a Google account as well because you're going to be using a Google Sheet to import all of the data. Okay, so let's go on to step one. Step one is we're going to export your data from Clio. So you're going to go to, okay, and it's going to load you on this page that you usually will not see by default, right? And here you can export a bunch of different things. Since we're going to be making a list of our open matters, we are going to click on matters. And so we're going to export a list of all of our matters in CSV. CSV, of course, stands for comma separated value. It is a spreadsheet. It will open in OpenOffice or Excel or whatever. As you can see, I've got a number of cases here. This is, of course, a sample case, so there's no proprietary or secret information. And this is all the information that Clio holds about your case, right? A unique ID, which is very important. We're going to do something real cool with that. I guess the case number, a description. This would be the one that you hand type in. Open date, close date, created at, last modified, custom number. Let's go over to, that's the account. Okay, so here we have the client name. Client full name, we're going to be using that as well, and the client ID number, that's cool. Originating attorney, practice area. Okay, so we need to know about the practice area. Inside of Clio, right, let's go to our account here, let's go to our settings. So we want to look at our practice areas. Let's make this a little bigger again so you can see better. Right, and so you've got a number of predefined practice areas that you can edit or delete, right? Those are the ones created by Clio. And if you're doing immigration, let's just say, let's do a I-130 family petition. Okay, we're going to create our own. And we're going to create another one, and we're going to say it's I-601A provisional waiver. And let's do one more. Let's do the I-824. Probably don't use it too much because of the cost, but it's a petition for action on approved petition. Okay, try not to be too repetitive there. Now we've created these 3 predefined case types. Whenever you're creating a case, right, best practices here, when you're creating a new case, you can define it there. So let's type in, I must have someone by this name here. There we go. For test Amos, you can type whatever it is in for the description, right? There's no predefined types here. Just call it test. But under practice area, this is where you can create one, or you can even add a new one, right? But we'll define it as one of these new ones we made, the I-130 family petition. Okay, and of course there's other things you can define here, a task list if you want to. Let's just click Save It. Okay, so now the practice area for that case is defined as what it should be. Those practice areas are what are going to show up. Oh, wrong field here. Here we go. When we had this open, didn't we? When you put it here. So I had one that said family. So let's just make some of these family, and we'll make some of these criminal. Of course, this is not the way you want to do it when you're creating your cases. You want it to show in there so it's more useful to you, but for testing purposes here, we'll just do this. Okay, so we've got 3 case types that we have. Open case as well. Are these open cases? Let's find out. That's the other thing you want to do. You want to check and see the case status, and that will tell you if it's open or not, right? So let's look. Are all these open? These are all open. If you had closed ones, you would just delete whatever ones were closed, because you don't want Trello cards for closed cases. Alright, so now that we've done that, we have our spreadsheet formatted. It's not too big. You can run into some issues if you get like 400, 500, 600 entries or more. It just takes a little longer, but you'll be okay. You'll wait for the browser to finish loading that into the spreadsheet. Alright, so we have that created. Now let's go to where were we? We want to go to our Google account. So let me go to my Google account. I'm going to go to some Google Sheets here, right? So let's open a blank spreadsheet, and we'll title it Clio Trello Import. Here we go. This is the information I need to paste in, and it shouldn't take as long because there's not as much of it. So we'll go back to Safari. We're going to paste that in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. And now let's check this. We have our descriptions. There we go. And we have the case types that we created before. So some are family, some are criminal, some are I-130. Okay, so we've got our spreadsheet ready to go. Let's go into Zapier. That's our next step, right? So we need to make sure that we have the right accounts connected. So we'll go to, where is it? Connected accounts. And I'm going to add some new accounts because, alright, and so that's, must be Google Sheets account number 2. I'm going to, can I rename? Yeah. You know what? And it occurs to me that's the wrong one. Disconnect, yes. Google Okie dokie. I'm going to name it. So that we can keep it organized. I'm also going to connect that Trello account. And it's going to tell me, I'm pretty sure, this is Primafiche. Yep, that's who I am. I want to allow it to connect. And that's going to be that. And the last piece of the puzzle is going to be Clio. Okay, so let's open Clio. And make sure that it grabs the right account if you have multiple accounts. Yes, we can continue. Yes, let's connect. And this is going to be make sure we keep those straight. Okay, so we've attached the right accounts, Google Sheets, Trello, Clio. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is, before we put all the data in, we're going to create the zaps. All right. And so the zaps we need are going to be here. We go to make a zap. And the first zap, we're going to label it so we remember it. And this is going to be Clio new matter to Trello. Okay. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose Clio, because that's going to be the trigger. So we're going to do a mass import, and I'll go over that in a second. But first you need to set up the structure so that when new matters are created in Clio, they'll automatically go into Trello and put a card there as well. So the first one is going to be Clio. The trigger is going to be a new matter is created. And we'll click continue. And we're going to go to this Clio demo account, continue. And we're going to set up options. So the matter status will be open, continue. All right, now let's go make a matter to be sure that this triggers correctly. We've got Nabucco Andres, and so let's create a new matter for him. And we're just going to call it our first test. And we're going to give it a practice area because we want that, and we'll give him one that we were using. We'll do I-824. And we'll save the new matter. Okay, so now there's a recent matter in there. Let's go back to our step. So we'll say fetch and continue. It's looking for an existing matter. It sort of runs through a test, and you can actually click view. And it'll say, yep, there's the I-824 that we just created today for this person. So we'll skip down here and say continue. And we've done our trigger, and we want it to trigger which action? We want it to trigger action inside of Trello. There we go. And we got to pick. We have to pick. Yeah, we picked up. Okay. And we want to create a card. No. First we got to create a list, right? So let's do this. Let's go into Trello and let's actually create our board. And I've done that already. It's called Open Matters. So this zap we're making is going to put every card somewhere on this board. And it'll either be on list A, B, or C, right? So let's delete this list. We'll archive it, actually. Okay, so we're starting on a clean slate here. And we're going here. All right, so we're actually going to create a list. A board is the main area. The list is going to be, we're going to do one for each type of case. All right, so we want to actually create a list. And what we want to do first is we actually want to go to the search options, and we want to say, okay, under search options, you want to say find a list on a board. Optionally, create one if none are found. That way you're not having multiple lists with the same name. Save and continue. And we're going to do Trello account, this demo one here. Save and continue. You can see it's moving us along in the progress here. The board, we said we want it to always be the Open Matters board for this Zap. And list name, let's do, the list name will be the practice area name. That's how we'll know what it is. Okay. And we will create one if it doesn't exist already. Okay. And let's click continue. All right, so it pulls the sample data here of what we're going to do. We're going to put it on the Open Matters board in the list for, well, and then we're going to create a list, find or create this list. That's why you want to use the same name always for your case types inside of Clio, or your practice area types as they call it, so that when you put things on a list they show up on the right one. So search for create and continue. All right, we got it. You can view your list to make sure everything looks okay. So this is the data that it pushed into Trello. Let's, there's one more step we're going to want to add, but let's just go see in Trello how that worked out. Here we go. Nope. Where did it go? Here we go. See? It created this list. Now there's no cards in the list. A card would be the name of the client, etc. Right? And there's none of those yet, so there's one more step we want to add to our Zap. All right, so let's click Add a Step now. Now that it finds or creates a list, we want Trello to create a card. All right, so it puts an item on that list for us. So save and continue. And we want that Trello account. You'll probably just have one of these. All right, the board, it's going to go on the Open Matters board. The list, all right, now this is where we got to be careful. You actually want it to be a custom value. Remember, we're not just thinking about this one item. We're thinking about every item that automatically gets put in there, and we don't want them all on the same list. So we're going to use a custom value. Okay, and it says custom value for list ID. Be careful here as well. It's a common place to make an error. You want to scroll down. Yeah. You want to scroll down not for the options for Clio. Right? You want to scroll down to the options for Trello. And you want to use this ID number here. Okay? So it'll be the ID for the list, which in this case, if you haven't caught on to this yet, you'll see that for this particular Zap and this particular client, that would be the name. That would be their ID. When you scroll down, this would be their name. This would be their ID for that list. So this is showing you a sample of what it would make based on our sample here, Naboku Andres. Right? But you want that ID same. Okay, now we're going to create the name, and that's asking about the name that's going to appear in this card here. Okay. So you're free to do a couple things. I recommend the following. You're going to want to go to, you can use a Clio field for that. So you'll put either the name, I would say the name, a couple spaces, a bar, a couple spaces, and maybe their display number. This would be their case number as it's displayed in Clio. And that's probably enough for the name. Under the description, it uses markdown formatting syntax. Now I haven't gotten completely into this, but I know the following. You can use here anything you want to describe the case with. So if we were going to say, let's put the practice area name in there, we can say that. If you had, in fact, we'll put on a different line. If you had a description in there, right? A, B, C, I don't know where the description is. Any of this information you could populate there. Let's just put, yeah, here's the description, right? And on the next line, let's do this, all right? One thing you want to be able to do is to go from Trello to Clio quickly, and you're going to do it like this. Now, since we're dealing with case list, course, they're called matters in Clio. You're going to put this HTML prefix here. Then you're going to add, let's see, this must be the matter ID right here. Let's just verify that. Client reference, no, practice area ID, client ID. All right, so that's the client ID, this is the matter ID. And just do that. Don't have any spaces between them, okay? You can add labels to them and do different things with that. We're going to skip that for now. Card position. I always like the new stuff to be at the top. So I'm going to say top. We're going to skip over the member stuff or due date stuff. Due date stuff is fun. We'll do that. So what you can do is you can set a due date. So now if your case is sort of open-ended and doesn't really have a due date, you might want a date in there just so you can know that you need to keep track of it and when you should be looking at it again. So yeah, you could create a due date in Clio. If you didn't, here's what you can do. Do the open date, but not this one. You want to scroll down to the created date here that has this longer format. Then do a space, and then you can add, so plus, let's say we're going to add 15 days. So then 15 days, that'll be our arbitrary due date for now. You can do that. What does this say? No, this is just a helper there. Okay. That's all we're going to do for now on those things. So we're going to click. Let's see, how do we have it all set up? Let's check. We got our ID correct there. Get a name, the display number. We got this link, which is going to let us click right into Clio to the right case. So let's go continue. And it's saying it's going to test it and it's going to create this. So let's create it and continue. All right, we got it. It's going good. Let's go check it out. Here's our open matters. There we go, look. See, this is the one we made before. So we'll archive that, get it out of the way. Now it showed up Noboku Andres. We know he's got an I-824 petition for action on approved petition, right? Or action on previously approved petition, we could say. That's this case number in Clio. Now if you click on that, now you got some more details, right? So first line is the name of the case. This was the description field. And this little bad boy here, watch what this does. That's an HTML link. Because I'm already logged into my Clio account, okay, that's a prerequisite. You got to be logged into Clio while you're logged into Trello so it knows that you're authenticated. You click that and it brings you to the right case inside of Clio right away. All right? So ideally you're probably using Trello for some high level, just get an idea of what all cases are out there. And maybe as you're reviewing them, you say, okay, this I-824 petition, where's that one at, actually? And you could click on here, and you would click into Clio. Very simple. Very good. So let's move along. We've got the basic setup here for creating a list and creating a card in the list, right? And actually, to be technical, we are finding or creating a list, and then we're creating a card. There's always going to be a new card because you're always going to be adding a new case there. All right. So let's test it out. Let's go just into, oh, actually we got to enable this zap, right? So let's click finish. We're done with our zap. We're going to put it, I'm going to put it in that folder for me. That's just for my organization. And we're going to turn it on. It is activating the zap bots. It's on. Let's see it on our dashboard. Here it goes. Now, you can force this to run. Normally it's going to go every 15 minutes. If you need it to go faster, you log into Zapier. There's usually a run button here. No, but it's an instant one, so you're going to be okay. Yeah, it'll instantly do it. So let's go. Let's go to Clio. Let's go to this is the home page here. We're going to let's find a contact. How about just Bill? Bill looks like a good one. He's got no information. We're going to create a new matter anyway. New. Bill, description. He has a U.S. citizen spouse who he is petitioning for. Okay. And we're going to, we got to select our practice area, right? And so these are our standardized language for that, which is going to be I-130 family petition. Let's save new matter. Okay, we have our matter here. Let's check if it worked in Trello. So it would be 00099, and he had no last name, so it's just going to be that. We know his first name is Bill. There he is. There's Bill. There's his case number. Let's click on it. There we go. And let's click on here, and it brings us back to Clio in the right case. How cool is that? All right, so now that we have all that set up, and I mean, if you're really into this and you're going to do it now, I highly recommend that you go back and format all of the data, just like I'm going to show you how to do right now, in your spreadsheet. And then, of course, you're going to export that, and we'll play around with it. So let's actually go back to, since I've already put it into this Google spreadsheet here, what you want to be sure of is you have your practice areas right. Okay, make sure they're standardized. You don't want anything with extra information there. And just make sure you have all the information here. You know, you've got the client name. Just make sure you have that, all that important stuff. Okay. Now, we're going to need to create a new Zap to do this, because we're actually going to import it from the spreadsheet, since we've got, how many do we have here? Like 76 cases, 75 because it's less one. So 75 cases we're going to import. Let's go create a new Zap to do that. And let's click Make a Zap. And it's going to all start in Google Sheets. We're going to choose our trigger, which is, it's really going to be just a new spreadsheet row. Because if you think about it, the import is something you're going to be doing one time on this. If you decide to do a more sophisticated setup, you know, if you're going to be using Google Forms along with that same spreadsheet somehow, I don't know why you would. So forget about it. Just do new spreadsheet row. Okay, save and continue. We're going to click the right account here, save and continue. We have set up our options, our spreadsheet. We said is going to be the Clio Trello import. And there's worksheets in the sheet, so we're just going to do sheet 1. That's what we have. Click continue. All right. Let's do this, because I remember having gone through this before. We're actually going to want to do this. Let's make sheet number 2. All right. And actually, can we duplicate this sheet? Yeah. That's what we're going to do. So this is copy of sheet 1, and we're going to use sheet 1 here, because what happens is it says, when it starts to read this, it says, oh, I see one new one, right? Because there's some other pre-existing ones there. So I've got a copy of it, and we'll end up switching to that sheet later after we've tested it. So let's go to this, and we're going to click Fetch and Continue. And test successful. Let's look at the row that it found. It found the one for 0001 W. Jefferson. Let's see here. I-130 family petition. W. Jefferson. All right, so if we go and just look at our list again, who's the last one on here? Is that W. Jefferson? Yeah, that's I-130. So let's find a client name. It's not. Who's W. Jefferson? Was that the first one on the list? Yeah, it was. So it actually found the very first one on that list. Okay, so let's just keep going. We're going to go forward with our Zap. So it found the information. That's the trigger when there's something new. Continue. And now the app that we want it to use is Trello. So we're going to click Trello. And we want to create an identical Zap, an almost identical Zap to the one we had before, right? So I'm going through it again. We're going to show the less common options. We're going to find a list on a board, optionally create one if none are found, okay, because we're going to be doing this huge import. It'll be a lot of stuff. We're going to do this account here. And the board is, again, it's going to be Open Matters. The list name is going to be custom field, remember? Well, no, the list name will come from the, not the description, be careful about that. It's actually going to come from element OP practice area. There we go. And we'll create the Trello list if it doesn't exist already. So let's continue. Okay, it's giving us a sample one here. Test successful. Let's go into Trello and take a look. Here we go. Here's Trello. It didn't show up there, so let's go and see what happened. All right. Oh, well, we're finding or creating the list, all right? So did it create a list? One that says family? Nope. Okay, well, let's retest Trello, get another list, open matters, family, search or create, and continue. View your list. It created the name is that. I'm getting confused here on something. Break. Break. Okay, yes, this is actually grabbing the latest Zap that we found. I think it's just using that same test data. So let's just check our options here. So from the list, it's going to grab the practice area. Okay, yeah, I think it's finding the right one, because if we look at the Trello import, I think this guy his name is Bill. No, it's Bug Eye. Where'd Bill go? Bill went somewhere. We'll go back to him later. Alright, the point of the matter is, I think this is still going to work. There's our new spreadsheet row in the right place. It's going to find or create a list. That account. These are the options. It's going to be on the Open Matters board. The list name is going to be from, yeah, because that was the description. Practice area is the one we wanted. I'm going to create it if it doesn't exist. Test. View the list. It made this name for it though. I guess I'm not sure what sample data it's pulling. Well, let's continue. The test worked, so I think our theory is sound. Let's add one more step to create the card. And so it's going to be again a Trello activity here. We want it to create a card. Save and continue. This is the account I'm using here. On the board, we want to do it on the Open Matters board. The list, we're going to use a custom value because we have a couple different lists now. And the custom value is going to be, we're not going to use this one. We're going to scroll down to the Trello options. I think I blew past it. Yeah, there we go. It's not going to be name. It's going to be, that's the ID for the board. We want the list ID. Cards, cards, cards. I want to create a list. I want to create a card. this ID. There it is. It's just called ID. All right, now we're going to go to the name. All right, so the name for the card, we're going to pull that information from the spreadsheet. And we picked a good way of doing it. We're going to do the name of the client, a couple spaces, line, couple spaces, and let's do the display, which shows his, like, it's like his case number, right? Where did it go? There, display number. And again, the description. We're going to just put in his name. And on here, we'll just put I can't remember if it was matter or matters. It is matters. All right. Matters, and we're going to add client ID. Not the client ID. We want the unique ID for the case. It's different. Let's see here. Unique ID. That's the one, because that's the unique ID for the case. So that turns into HTTP. It turns into a URL that you can click then. All right, we're going to leave labels and deadlines off just for simplicity. Click continue. Test it. Creating continue. Creating a new card. Successful. View your card. Let's click finish. And this is going to be import from Sheets to Trello. Excuse me, break. All right, now you can see that we've created a new card here. Click on that. It's got the link and everything like we wanted. So when we go into our Clio account, there's the right case for us. All right. So let's close that. Now let's actually, since we were just testing, we're going to actually archive that whole list and archive that whole list. And let's go to our Zap. Let's turn it on. All right, let's go see it on our dashboard. Okay, now it's not an instant one. It'll usually run every 15 minutes, but you can force it to run right away. Now, because we already imported line number 1, and now I've deleted it, let's actually highlight all these. I'm going to cut them. Let me move it down a couple lines too. Paste it. Right? So these should show up as new items on the list because they're further down now. If everything's working like I think. I've tested it once. Let's test it again right now. And we go to import sheets to Trello. Yes, we want that to run right now. And it'll tell us right now. It says it didn't find any. Triggering on 0 Google Sheets new spreadsheet row items. All right. Let's go here. We're in sheet 1. Yeah, you see what I mean? When we were testing it, it grabbed the first one, but now it thinks they're all old. So we'll just put them all below 79. Now those should be considered new. Let's go run our Zap again. Why is that not showing up there? Let's see here. I don't really want to edit this out because if I'm running into it, for sure you're going to run into it, right? Let's do a workaround. Let's duplicate this Zap. And that one's turned off, right? So let's turn that one off. Actually, you know, let's just edit it. Now that we've got a copy of it, let's go in. We will edit the spreadsheet. And instead of sheet 1, we'll do copy of sheet 1. Okay, and it automatically turned that off. Say continue. That's okay. Let's actually just go back to the dashboard. Turn this on. Run it. Because we already had copied that whole sheet, so yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about this because it's not triggering there either. New spreadsheet row. Got our import. We did copy of sheet 1. Those should all be brand new. Maybe we just need to do some refreshing. Sometimes that helps, right? Refresh, refresh. I wonder if it didn't save it when I went in. Let's check. Edit options, copy of sheet 1. Well, let's just run through this whole thing. Let's see what one it grabbed. Oh, 1. So grab the first one on the line. Okay. Continue. It says it's working. Let's see it on our dashboard. Here it is. Let's run it again. What if we copy it and paste it? Those are all now new, right? They're all new. Everything 77 and down should be considered new on copy of sheet 1. And so let's refresh this. And let's run this zap. Here we go. That's what it did. So now it's triggering on 74 Google Sheets, new spreadsheet row items. All right. So those are all the ones that we copied. So copy, paste, triggers it to show that it's a new item. And it's sent to Trello, create card successful. Let's go have a gander. Let's go to our open matters here. Here we go. It's still, looks like it's still putting them in, see? Oh, this is great. It's like live adding the new ones that we need. So there's some family cases, there's some criminal cases. We should have some I-824 cases as well. No, I-130, right? There we go. Maybe we didn't create I-24. I thought we created one though, right? Let's take a look here. There's no good way to tell if it's finished yet. So of course you can scroll within these. Yeah, that's right. In that spreadsheet that we just imported, we only had these 3 categories, okay? So now what can we do? We can go here back to Zapier. We can turn that off. Probably delete it if you want to. I'm going to leave it here for sample purposes later because we have this instant zap, right? So the very first one that we created says, hey, whenever you create a new matter in Clio, let's do it from here. Whenever you create a new matter in Clio, it's going to go into Trello as well. So let's just create a new one here to test that out as well. Okay. And we'll do, let's do the description. This is our last test of importing. And we got to select a practice area. Let's pick one that's going to have to create a new list for us, right? There, that I-824. Okay. And we'll save the matter. Let's go into Trello and Should show up any second here, right? If we did it right. Thought it was going to be a live create. Let's look at it. Last test of importing. We said this was I-824. Let's refresh it. You know, I don't see it here right now. What do we do? Let's go check our Zap and make sure it's running, make sure it's right. It says it's an instant one. I wonder if we're sort of overloading the Trello account here. Why don't we shouldn't have to, right? But I'm going to try. Just logging out and logging in again. I'm going to go to our Open Matters board we created just for this. And I see it didn't create it. So let's go and check and see if we messed something up in our Zap here, right? I don't know why it says my Zap is off. Maybe because I'm editing it? New matter, triggers find or create. Have our options there. The list is going to be made by the practice area name, created if it doesn't exist. And we're going to create a card that has this information in it. Okay, well, maybe you just got to click it on here. Too many tasks for this period on this plan. That's why it didn't work. I got to upgrade. Too many tasks for this period on this plan. All right, I'm a sucker. I'll upgrade. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, business is business. Unbelievable. I would have done a smaller sample if I knew it was going to make me pay more. Yeah, thank you very much. You're welcome. Well, you're welcome. You know what? It saves a lot of time. You can't really complain too much about it. Let's go to our Clio demos apps. We're going to turn it back on. There we go. All right, so let's see if it brought it in or not. Save new matter. All right, so we created the matter. Our Zap said it was running, so now it should. Cross your fingers. There it is. Right, just like we told it to do. All right, so just to review for all of you who might be confused at what happened, I use Zapier a lot, and I just imported a lot of data into our firm's account. So there's a certain number of Zaps that you get per plan, a certain number of tasks, and I exceeded that. So I'm paying a little bit more now, but that's okay. You know, with any software that you use to make your practice better, I mean, sitting back and saying, oh, I can't believe I got to pay $100 a month or $50 a month, knock it off, for real. Because how much money and time is it saving you? A lot. You don't want to go through and do this manually, and you don't want to pay somebody else to do it manually, because in the amount you pay Zapier a month, you're going to pay, you know, an assistant to do it for a long time. So 5 hours, right? If you pay them $10 an hour, it's going to take 5 hours to do that. It's nothing. Be totally happy. Be thankful. All right, because now we got a list of all of our open matters, right? And you could say, at a glance, you know, say you're doing your monthly, or not your monthly, hopefully it's your weekly case review meeting. All right, let's take a look at all of our cases. Let's start with the family petitions. How's this one going? You click on there. You say, well, let's see, Jorge HGH Bebe, let's go to his case. He's doing pretty well, and you know what? So another thing you can do, and we're going to work on a way to make this a little more smooth as well, is if this is an immigration case, and this is your immigration client, and you're also a Primafiche user, you know, definitely go into Primafiche, find your contacts who are synced with your Clio account, right? Let's go to our administrator panel, right? So that when you're in here, and you're looking at any contacts who are also contacts who are created in Clio, you can go back and forth. You can check the status of their cases in here as well. You've got the same case numbers if you're using the case numbers from Clio. You can go and check their USCIS receipt numbers if there's anything new and you've been waiting a while. You know, you can go over their checklist, go over the case flow items there as well, right? So ideally your secretary is keeping track of these things, and you are as you're going through the case. So when you're doing that monthly or your weekly review meeting, it's going to go a lot more quickly. You know, and you can see at a glance, and you can go category by category, right? When your mind is fresh on one category, it's good to keep going with that category till you're done. All right, so this has been your deluxe and free training on how to connect Clio to Trello by way of Zapier, okay? So that you can import. We went over importing all of your current cases that you have, right? Quick review. What did we do? We went to app.goclio.com/export. We exported a list of your current matters. We opened those matters and we filtered all the ones out. We deleted the ones that were closed, right? Because we don't need those on here. And you'll see it's open or closed status. We deleted those. We made sure that we had our case types labeled correctly, or practice areas. And then we created a Google Sheet. Oop, I just closed it. Darn it. Let's see here. Right, we created our Google Sheet for the Trello import, made sure it was formatted correctly. And we had that all set up so that read that information. Then we went into Zapier. We connected the right accounts to Zapier. We built our Zaps. The first one we did was just to create the new matter in Trello. Creating the new list and creating the new cards for new cases that you make in Clio. And then to import from Google Sheets, we created this Zap, right? Find or create a list, and then create a card. We did that. Let's go back. Then we actually ran the Zap, making sure to get all the right number of remember, we had to copy some information here lower, so it's actually duplicated on this sheet, but Zapier thought that the first ones were all old, so it didn't use them as new ones, right? So that's how we worked around that. Of course, we had to upgrade our account to be able to do that for the number we were doing. And then we went and just make sure we tested everything out, so everything would go back into Trello. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm going to do one last plug. If you're an immigration attorney, you definitely want to take a look at Primafiche. Primafiche syncs with Clio. So everything you're doing with Trello is going to be able to be easily usable as well with Primafiche. Primafiche is the easiest way to create and manage your immigration forms. It does sync with Clio, notes, tasks, cases, contacts. Those all sync two ways between Primafiche and Clio. And Primafiche also lets you maintain checklists for your cases, case flow items. So this will be case flow items. All the steps you have to go through in creating the case. The checklist items, these are things you would give to your client, and you would keep track of this to make sure that it all gets included in the package you submit to USCIS. We have predefined case types to help you create all the forms you're going to need. The forms work, and they work well. They include the barcodes, so once you download it, it throws the barcode on there automatically. Every time you type a piece of data into the form, it's going to save it. Right? So you click, you type, it flashes green, and it's saved. You're not going to lose a page worth of data if your internet hiccups or something. All right? And we also have a USCIS receipt tracking tool. You just enter the receipt number, the petition type, you add that there, and then you can update the status. And I'll just type in dummy one here. Once you add one, you can click Update Status. It'll check the USCIS servers. You can also see the results on the USCIS website. Okay, so we also track priority dates, On the very home page of Primafiche, what you can see is this, and you can see if you have any priority dates that are ready based on the visa bulletins, employment, and family. Right? And to access Primafiche, you can go to our homepage to learn more, www.primafachenow.com. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope it was fun, and I hope you get to use Trello with Clio. It's a great little tool. Thank you.